I once said that the times may change, but the lies and the liars remain the same. Years ago, I had done a video series about the racism of Asians, using Capcom's Resident Evil 5 as a case study. The Japanese used the same talking points their white counterparts use to deflect responsibility from themselves. They showed no sensitivity whatsoever. Quite the contrary. They viciously attacked anyone who criticized them. They call black people paranoid and hypersensitive, but these are the same Asians who lose their minds anytime someone denigrates the image of Asian people. I warned black people then that the economic rise of Asia would ultimately prove the most perilous challenge we've ever faced. After all, Africa's enemies came from Asia long before they started coming from Europe, and I think now that perhaps my warnings are a little better understood. Some people accuse me of having an anti-Asian bias. No, it's not a bias at all. It's pattern recognition. And here's yet another example. This week, Dunkin' Donuts' Thailand operation ran a so-called ad to promote their new charcoal donut. You can guess the chain of events that followed. They got called on it. Dunkin' Donuts' U.S. headquarters gave the typical insincere apology, and white keyboard Klansmen who wouldn't dare look a black person in the eye were all over the message boards co-signing the racism using the same old talking points. But what needs to be highlighted here are two things. First, when I told you the racism against black people by Asians was not just a U.S. phenomenon, that's exactly what I meant.
Really? You have blackface on? What the hell? Really? Wow. Oh, this is horrible. Hairspray.
I don't care how many anime cosplay conventions you've gone to, or how many plates of kimchi you've eaten, or what your favorite kung fu movie is. Asians are your enemies, not your friends. First of all, Dunkin' Donuts' U.S. headquarters has not said that this will result in any disciplinary action. Unless somebody loses their jobs, we can take their apology to be a bald-faced lie. They have the option to pull their franchise license from the Thai franchisees to prove they mean business. So why haven't they? And secondly, the head of the franchisee group that generated the ad has not apologized for anything. Now, before the Euroclowns get ready to use the same old talking points about how Asians don't know anything about anti-black propaganda, don't try. Because the person who dreamt up this ad isn't Thai at all. This is Nadeem Salhani. He's a Lebanese expatriate who is the CEO of Thailand's Dunkin' Donuts franchisees. He has not said anything about not knowing his ad was racist. To the contrary, he has viciously lashed out like a wounded animal. Just like the Japs over at Capcom, he claims that criticism is just hypersensitivity. If the Euroclowns want to continue repeating the lie that the Asians are culturally unaware, then I have two questions. One, why do they use the same pathetic talking points that white people use? And secondly, why is it that whenever some chump attacks black people, the first ones who come running to defend them are white people? George Zimmerman murdered Trayvon Martin. This incident had nothing to do with white people, yet white people were the ones who defended him nonstop, gave him money, and bragged as if it were some sort of accomplishment for them. This Dunkin' Donuts incident has nothing to do with white people at all, yet who is defending this company? White people, who this has nothing to do with. Pattern recognition tells us that white people clearly have a stake in defending anyone who attacks black people, whether they be white or not. It also tells us the Asians are taking their cues from white people. Now, Salhani even boldly brags that he got his own daughter to model for the advertisement. Keep in mind, white and Asian people gladly put their children into racist propaganda, both overseas and in the U.S. In fact, a little while ago, a white kid in grade school got in trouble for doing a blackface of Martin Luther King Jr. The guy who posted this video, judging by his avatar, is an obvious right-wing troll who entitled the video, "White Student Kicked Out of School for Blackface." But predictably, watching the report, it turns out that's not the case at all. It says that when alerted by the school, his parents refused to stop him from walking around in blackface. When the school continued to insist he remove the face paint, it was then that his parents opted to pull him out of class.
Sean was still asked to wash his face, but his parents refused and pulled him out of school.
He wasn't kicked out of anything. His parents, as a protest, chose to pull him out. The title is a complete lie, but I learned a long time ago that Euro clowns hate facts. Now, we all know his parents put him up to this. You can listen to Scooter Jr. and tell his lies couldn't possibly have come from his mind or his mouth. He says he has so much respect for Dr. King, but did you notice that he couldn't tell us anything about Dr. King? When kids say they like Justin Bieber or Pokemon, they can tell you everything about them. And this kid simply says over and over that he just liked them. This brain-dead and obviously fake play acting smelled rotten to me from the start. Almost no Americans under the age of 30 know anything about Dr. King or what he did. This child didn't either, but his parents used him to insult Dr. King's memory. And look at his parents. They don't strike me as white liberals, rather as pure white trash. This whole fiasco smells of a redneck's sick sense of humor. By the way, do you notice how no one ever asked the kids' parents what connections they have to any civil rights organizations? Usually when white people are caught race baiting, they're the first ones to tell you how they just love black people and how all their friends are black, or how they feed little black children in Africa. But these white folks can't pull the racial equality card. On the other hand, I'll bet they're connected to some right-wing organizations. Shame the reporters never bothered to ask. Just understand, the same sick mentality we see from whites over here is what we see from Asians over there. To continue, Salhani then tries to hide behind rhetorical questions like, what if the product was white and I painted somebody white? Would that be racist? The easiest rebuttal to give to Salhani's insane rantings is to ask, has Dunkin' Donuts Thailand ever used a black person in whiteface to sell donuts? In fact, has any company ever used a non-white person in whiteface to sell a product? Would you ever? See, if you're going to ask a rhetorical question, you better be ready when somebody gives you a real answer. But it's the ad's tagline that destroys any claim of innocence. Break every rule of deliciousness. Now, what rules are they talking about? After all, as they have told us, black in this case is just a color. The color black doesn't mean anything. But words do have meaning. Whomever designed this ad clearly felt that either their product or the way they chose to promote it was crossing some sort of line. Remember, they said the only thing this entire ad was about was the color of the product and nothing else. So, what is it about black that is breaking any rules? The imagery and tagline are meant to communicate that this product is pushing the edge somehow, but that assertion would only make sense if you're in a country whose culture is hostile towards people who are black, which Thailand is. Secondly, it is also a bit of an inside joke as well. Dessert companies have always marketed their products with the idea that it's a naughty delight to be eating them. So no matter how you choose to deny it, the entire point of the ad is to clearly draw a direct connection between being black and being bad. And before any Euro clowns get ready to do their typical knee-jerk denials, remember, the only thing this ad is about is the color black, in a country of people who are not black. It makes black skin synonymous with wrong, or forbidden, or doing something that you shouldn't. Now, of all the concepts to choose, why would they choose that one? Or do you believe they threw this ad together totally by accident? Neither the image nor its slogan is a compliment. Now keep in mind, this sand monkey is the same kind of Lebanese who, were he in the US, would never try something like this. How many Lebanese gas station owners try this in America? How many Thai restaurant owners try this in the US? Not even one. And these are people fresh off the boat, people who staff their businesses with other foreign-born Asians. They wouldn't dare try this in the US or Jamaica or Britain or Africa or anywhere where there's a sizable number of black people. So you see, the problem isn't that they don't know. It's that they want a safe place to indulge their racism. And when they're caught, they use the exact same talking points and deflections that white people use. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Asians love to brag about how worldly and knowledgeable they are. They have companies all over the globe, send their children to be educated all over the planet. Asians are the first ones to tell you that they are a highly informed and enlightened people about the world. That is, until they get caught doing something like this, then all of a sudden they are a closeted and secluded people who up until this morning were still living in caves. And when you talk to them, you see that this isn't a case of ignorance or seclusion. This is a matter of personal philosophy. As Human Rights Watch noted, and as I have been telling you for years, this is a problem with Asian people in general. I find it almost amusing that the slowpokes over on Yahoo finally figured out the Bubble Sisters were doing blackface. Had they been watching my videos, they would have known this years ago. Well, that's the white media for you, always bringing up the rear. By the time the white people get around to telling you, the news is already old. And let that be a lesson for the black people out there who still depend on whites to keep them up to date. If you want to be the last one to know, just keep on getting your news from white people. Asians have historically always claimed innocence when they've been caught in the wrong. In the years leading up to World War II, the Japanese would attack U.S. merchant vessels and military craft, then claim it was a misunderstanding. And the very next week, they'd do it again. Even if the Asians didn't know what they were doing was racist, they certainly know it now. And what has been their reaction? Have they apologized, taken down the ads, and asked black people to come and advise them on how to bring their marketing into the 20th century? On the contrary, they have attacked anyone who called them on their racism. Now, this latest incident is not a rare one at all. This is merely one of countless examples the white media has chosen to bring to your attention. There are many others that have not made the news and will not. This brings me to my final 2 points.